Good morning. Kathy here with Kathy's Cute Creations. Today we're going to be doing 2019 cotton cuts, and I believe the name is called Stratford. And we got a block of the month, and it's a pineapple, believe it or not. And then of course the back is where you can color it, so you can make it your own colors. And here are the fabrics. Let me hold on to my card this time. There you go. Let's get over here to the sewing machine and we'll get started. The very first thing that the directions say are to join the small triangle. Notice I didn't call it a rectangle. They want E4, which is this color here. Sew it together and we're going to make 4 of them identical. So first I'm going to pin the 4 and then we're going to sew them. And you want to position the long bias, which this is the part that moves. That's going to be on the outside. The straighted grain is on the inside with the straighted grain. Okay? So if you're looking at your triangle this direction, just turn it a little bit to the left and you've got it. Okay, let's pin all them together. Let's go ahead and chain stitch all of these. Which means one right after the other, since we've got them all pinned. You don't have them pinned, you can line them all up if you're a pro at that kind of thing. I like the differences between my last one, which is 2018, which is the light colors, compared to these darker colors for 2019. I think I just gotta, nope, maybe not. And here's the last one. Go ahead and separate them all. And the next step is telling us, let me see if I need to iron them. Hold on one second. Yes. So let's go ahead and iron them all. Now remember that you're going to set your seams when you do this. So you lay your fabric on your sewing machine, put your iron on top, and then open it up and iron it. Okay, let's do that, everybody. They should all look like that. Now they want you to take for step 1B, because that's what they're calling them, they're steps. This was connecting these two with step 1A. 1B, because we're attaching it to this, is that you're looking, remember now we're going to look at the bias, which is this right here. The bias is the long side, and we're going to attach it to this, just like that, so that this will be on the bias, this entire side. So we're going to go ahead and pin all 4 just like that. So go ahead and do that. What I do is I line up my right side first and then pin it over to the left. This way, just in case the edges are not correct, you'll have it lined up based on the right hand side. Now go ahead and make sure that when you pin it, that you've pinned down this seam right here. That's where I put it. I put 1 pin in the seam and then 1 on the edge. Okay, that's the way it'll look. Let's see if I can get it in the camera here. All right, we're going to pin them all like that, and we're going to sew them all. If you're concerned about sewing from this corner, which you shouldn't be, it should work. You can always take it, flip it upside down, repin it while it's still pinned, and then sew from this end off this end if you want. I'll show you. So I just take it, because I don't want my pins underneath my project because they will scratch my sewing machine bed. So all I'm doing is repinning like that. Take those pins out. Now these pins are fine. And then sew it like this. Let me go ahead and I'm going to pin another one. I'm going to show you how I pin this. I brought this down here on the table. If you want to do it the other way without repinning it. Start at the corner. Match it up. Because this is the corner I'm going to start to sew at. Go to the edge. Smooth it out with my finger. I've already ironed my seam flat. And there you have it, like that. And that's the way I'm going to go ahead and do them. So you line it up. We're thinking, looking at this right here. Make sure it's correct. Flip it over. Pick it up. Match the corners here. Pin it. Go down here, smooth it out. Whoops, I don't quite have it. Let's back it up a little bit. There we go. Oops. Now that I've done this, I see that I lost my 1/4 inch here. So I need to re-sew that. Hold on one second. I did not take out my stitches, which are right here. I just went ahead and came over here to the 1/4 inch and then met it. So I don't know what I did. I must have veered off to the side. Now let's go back to pinning here. Oops. There you go. All right, now we're going to go ahead and sew all of these. I went ahead and I applied the iron to this. Keep in mind that if you don't have glass head pins, you can't do that. Your pin will melt underneath your iron. You don't want your pins to accidentally melt. We'll go ahead and we're going to chain stitch all of these. Whoops, something's going on there. I need to begin again. Somehow I got that flipped over. I'm not quite sure what happened. Let's lay that on top of there. There we go. Now clip all these apart, take them over to this ironing board and iron them open. I'll show you what they look like when I get done. Okay, this is what they look like now when you're finished with. Alright, so they want you to take this piece that we finished and they want us to attach this piece. So the way that I do that is I fold this in half because I want to get my halfway point. Put a little pinch here, which gives me that fold. Now, I take my pen and I estimate, and if you cannot estimate, then by all means go ahead and put a 1/4 inch mark down here, because that's what I'm doing, is going down a 1/4 inch. And I'm looking for the seam where it met, because on the back, you want to come up through the seam here. So when it comes up, it's going to come up right there. You know what? See it right there? Okay. Then what I do is it matches right like that. So while it's matched, while this pen is still in there, I take my other pen and I put it in here. And then I pull that one out. Then I go to the left or the right, it makes no difference. Put a pin in here, because this is on the bias. Go to the other end, line it up, and put a pin in here. Then pin all 4 of them, and then we're going to sew them. We're going to go ahead and chain stitch them. And since there's no point because they cut our edges off, we're actually going to be starting here. So this should not go into our sewing machine because we're not starting up here at the corner. We're coming over here to the 4th inch from this edge. And we're going down here. So you're going to be real careful because this is the bias and you don't want any of this to stretch. You've been starching them, then go ahead and starch now to prevent them from stretching. Do whatever you've been doing. I believe that one needed another pin. My end is off. Good thing about this being on the bias is if you need to adjust it a little bit, like I needed to pull a little bit to me because it didn't quite meet, then you can do it. You can't do it when it's on the straight of grain, but you can when it's on the bias. And now is a good time to show you. Let's say that even though you're doing it this way, for some reason you feel like it keeps getting it stuck. Go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this out of here. And then if you have to, well, let me break that thread. I need to get underneath my foot. If you have to start down here because you don't feel comfortable and it keeps jamming anyway, and yes, that can happen with your machine. I mean, don't feel like you're the only person that happens to. Then go ahead and start on the fabric. Just bring yourself onto it. And we can go back and catch that corner, just like this. Go ahead and do the whole thing. This is what I used to do when it didn't work for me and it kept jamming in my machine. I don't know why it kept jamming. It wasn't necessarily this machine. It was another machine that I had that I no longer have. But it kept jamming. Even when I had the little circle, I had an issue with the corners. Then go ahead and take it off. Turn it upside down. And then you're going over the stitch you've already made because that will lock it into place so that you don't have to go backwards and forwards. And just come right off the end. Just like that. Okay? No reason you can't do that if you have to. You do whatever is comfortable for you and whatever you've been doing. Cut these apart and we're going to iron them open. At this point you'll have 4 that look identical just like that. And now would be a good time if you've sewed any of it wrong, you're going to notice it. And then you can fix it before we go on. Now step 2, we're doing the same thing but we're doing a mirror image. So we have our square and then we have our triangle on the left hand side. Remember the last time it was over here on the right? Now it's just the other way. It's on the left. Let me back it up. Let's go ahead and pin all these. We're going to chain stitch them, and then when I'm done doing that, I'll show you what they look like. So my question to you is, those that have this kit or that have something else they're working on, do you sew along with me when I sew, and do you want to see the whole thing as I sew it? The way that I've been doing it, where I'll sew it, and when I'm not talking, I'll actually speed it up. so that you can sew along. Or in this case, for example, this is nothing more than the mirror image of the last thing I did, where I could skip this entire process and just show you the square when I'm done with it. Let me know if there's something else you want to see. Let me know that too. For example, although I told you to make sure that you pressed your seam to relax it, do you need to see that again? I'm not sure if you want to see it or not. Nobody ever mentions it, so let me know. And then we'll go from there. Here they're all sewn together now. And then I'm going to connect the next piece that we attached to the bottom down there. Remember, it's going to have the grain right here. All right, let me get them all pinned. Again, I'm chain stitching these. Here's what these look like before we put that last triangle on it. Now that I have all these pinned, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain stitch all of them. So when I check this side, you can tell that I didn't get my point. Whoops. Exact right there. So what you do is flip your, see where I didn't get it right here? So I'm going to go back and do it on this side where I can see it and make sure that I come up over that edge. So I am under my 4th inch, which I didn't notice it until I pulled it back. So I'm going to go ahead and reset my seam on this and fix this one. It's coming up on there, so I go real slow because I want to make sure I get it. There we go, and I got it. And I swerve a little bit back to the right. And let's see what we got here. Okay. Take a peek at it, fold it back so I can take a look, and there we go. Now let me see. I'll get the camera up here. And there we go. It went across it now. Let me flip it back over so you can see it. See how I went right up over the edge there? I went right over here and caught it. So somehow I got less than my 1/4 inch on the other side of my fabric. So now I'll iron this along with the rest of them. Here's your set of squares now that we're done. And I got to thinking, had I sewn them where the seam side was showing up, that wouldn't have happened. But then if that hadn't happened, I could have never told you how to fix it. Good thing, I think, that I sewed it the other way, just so I could find out that the corner here didn't match, so that you could learn something today. Well, that is all of the blocks. This is clue 2, and now the last step is to connect the 2 blocks. You're going to make it so that the D3, which is this right here, are going together. Just make sure that this one has, because this is what you're looking at, the left one for the A block is on the left and on the right, and then you know you got these 2 correct. So let's go ahead and pin them and sew them all up. I'm chain stitching these. tub is too close over here. There we go. I'll iron them and I'll lay them out here for you. Here they are, all 4 of them. They look really nice. That's what you'll end up with. And then I'll label them and I'll put them on the design wall here with the other from last month. I hope you liked this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe. Click on the little bell. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.